Another pickup test? Yes, that first big test was sort of a broad scope of pickups that I was trying to narrow down to fit in this Koa Suhr Modern, the Red Beach model, which, I bought it without EMGs, and so I thought like, well, that's cool. Let's just go the passive route. I tried the EMGs in there. They sound great. That's the sort of like backup plan B because they sounded great in this, but I don't know. I just wanted to kind of fine tune exactly what I was looking for. This test is picking some of my favorites from that first and then pulling in some new pickups that I thought might be a great contender. So, spoiler alert, you're welcome to jump ahead and just listen to the pickups, but I'm going to tell you what I heard and what I picked. What I picked is the Suhr V60 LPs, and that's here. Part of the reason is, look at this shape. There's no V. So you're limited to like no passive pickups that are shaped like that. I had to order these custom from Suhr, and I knew I liked the V60 LPs because they're sort of the fattest ones they make. And even still, they're open and clear, but they're a pretty big fat single coil. And then the bridge pickup, the winner for this guitar, for me, is the Third Power MagFrag Riot Studio. So that's a different pickup. Delana sent me 3 MagFrag pickups, and they're very cool. So instead of being like it's an Alnico 2 or an Alnico 5 or Alnico 4 pickup, it's all of them. It's actually pretty clever. It's split a magnet per set of strings. So you have these kind of high ones that can be a little sharp, and that gets the Alnico 2. The center ones, which are sort of the sweeter melody sort of zone, Alnico 4, and then where you want this extra little bite and clarity at the bottom is Alnico 5. I'm a big Alnico 5 magnet pickup liker, but sometimes the top gets a little crispy. So this ended up being the MagFrag Riot Studio. I don't know, that's like maybe my favorite bridge pickup I've heard. It's just like, it's dialed perfect for me. It's only a little bit different than the MagFrag Studio, which is also really great. It's a hot-ish. It's not so hot that it feels like it has a cocktail sort of feeling, but it's hot, so you get a little bit of compression, a little bit of sustain, but it's also open on chord. You don't feel like it's getting squished down. The Studio is unwaxed, so you get that microphonic when you get too close to an amp, when it's at insane levels. Well, in the Studio, when you have an amp that loud where you're standing in front of, so the wax potting also sort of like, holds it back a little bit. Not doing that, it just added a little bit of extra like touch sensitivity and openness. It was kind of everything I was looking for. It was everything I was looking for. So that's the winner. I love it. The MagFrag, the Riot Bucker will go in something else at some point. Really cool. And the Praxis is a little more of a traditional PAF leveled pickup, although they all use this sort of 3 magnet system. They're great. Highly recommend you check them out if you have not. One of my favorites and top contenders from the previous batch was the Andy Timmons. And thinking about it, I don't know if I got that in. No, I didn't. I shot it and I lost the files. So that was one of my favorites from the top batch, which you never got to see. That's a great, it's a Dimarzio pickup. It's great. It's fat. It's maybe a little too fat and a little too warm. You could tell it's really great for a solo lead person because it's there. It's very vocal and open and easy to play. But sometimes it felt a little like you're getting in a little too much of the in there. The Dimarzio Breed neck pickup is one of those pickups that people all the time online recommend if you're looking for a PAF Pro for like your Gem or Gem Junior, but you want it hotter. They go, get the Breed neck. Dimarzio doesn't make it anymore. I got it, I think, at Matt's Music Center. I think they're the only company that stocks it anymore. And it's good. it kind of, you know, that PAF Pro is an interesting pickup where it's like, all right, it's a pickup, sounds good. Completely non-offensive. It's not that hot. This is a little hotter. It's warm. Does that Steve Vai kind of thing without being too much of Steve Vai. So it was, but it is a little bit of a non-event. But if you're like, man, this other one is too much Steve Vai lead tone, and I want it just like take it down a couple notches, this is a really good choice. The Seymour Duncan RTM, the Warren Dimartini signature pickup. And this is funny because there's a story of Warren going for his signature guitar, and which you would think they would match his main version of that guitar. But they're like, no, we put in a brand new pickup, and he's like, I like it. So since he liked it, they're like, great, that's your pickup. I mean, that's kind of sort of what he said online. And it's a good sounding pickup. It's very hot. It's got a big beefy bottom end, but a lot of cut. So it's not like super smooth. It's got these resonances that are like punch, cut, punch, cut. So it's a very cool pickup, especially if you like, you know, sort of Van Halen without too much top and with more bottom, which is kind of like Warren's later tone. It's got a lot of like punch and crack, kind of Van Halen-y, kind of, you know, Plexi, Soldano sort of world. It's a good one. The BlackStock Northern Lights pickup, this is made by Phil McKnight, YouTuber, where every Friday I'm over there watching his live show. I asked him if he would send me a set or if I could buy a set, and he just sent me a set to try out. Put them in the first pickup shootout. They're great. I would say, here's another reason they're great. They don't really sound like your normal generic pickup. He could have went that route and just been like, I made a JB pickup and it's my version of it and it sounds good. Yeah, sure. This is probably the most clear pickup I've heard, almost hi-fi without being harsh and clear and kind of un-guitar friendly. It's very guitar friendly, but if you're like, I can never get the clarity and I love to be able to chime and I want to be able to rock, but also go back and kind of have a really nice clean sound. It's one of the nicest clean sounding pickups I've heard. It also rocks great. Like it does like a nice Pantera because it has all that open presence to it. So it just gets a great crunch too. Very cool. Not the most punchy mid-range deep bottom. So if you already have a bright guitar, might not be the best direction. But if you're looking for that clarity and openness, it's a really good choice. And lastly, just for fun, I went on eBay and I found the cheapest pickup I could find. It was like $19, and it still had the wires intact, and it seemed to work. So I put it in. Not terrible. No, not terrible at all. No, this is one of those things that it's very hard to tell just from the clips. So, you know, when I play through it, I'm like, oh, it doesn't give you back that much. It's a little harsh at times. If I'm just jamming, you could go like, oh, up here it's not very good. Down here it's fine. So it held up better in the clips than I was expecting. But, you know, I just put it in there for fun. So in this pickup test, I only used software. I used Overloud's THU, which are some of my packs that I have. They sound really great. I think I used a neural for the sort of Pantera-ish vibe in there. There's a funny thing which I've long suspected, and this sort of proves it a little bit to me, is that in software, the differences sort of get shaved off. There's maybe 5%, 10% that gets shaved off between guitar tones. The more you just go guitar, cable, tube amp, speaker, microphone, I mean, that's enough to color your stuff anyhow. But then when you go into software and whatever software, algorithm and tuning and EQs and IRs and stuff, it starts to like shave, and things get a little more similar. I hear the most difference between the pickups in the super direct, clean little thing at the end where you could kind of tell. But so that's why I'm telling you in advance. Maybe it's something extra to listen for when you're going through, because sometimes I'm like, oh, gosh, all these sound the same. And depending on how I'm listening, what I'm listening through, then I could hear some of the differences. But Just throwing that out there too. So here you go. It's the last pickup test I'll probably ever do in my life. I don't know. I've said that before. And it is MagFrag Riot Bucker Studio is my winner for this sweet one. Yeah, and I just did a one pass on each of these, so there's some jumbles, but it's close enough. There you go. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.